All right, this next chapter we get the opportunity to solve some quadratic equations. So in order to solve a quadratic equation, we kind of need to know what it is. It's something that you see all the time. Now it's a bit deceptive because it's called a quadratic, so you think that may be 4? No. If I'm looking at standard form of a quadratic equation, that is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. It is an equation, so we throw that equal sign in there. This, straight up, just exactly what you think. The highest exponent for a quadratic equation is always squared. So something that you have seen before, and guess what? We get to do some factoring. You are welcome. We are going to go through 4 different ways in order to solve a quadratic equation. The first one is called the zero factor property. The zero factor property is something you already know. And just like most everything in mathematics, exactly what it's called, exactly what you're doing. If I'm looking at this, you're going to have a zero and then factor it property. We'll get into that here in just a minute. And we're going to work probably 2 to 3 examples from each one of these. Each one's going to be in a separate video, so you'll be able to reference the particular property that way. The next one is the square root property. Well, that makes good common sense since the highest exponent in my quadratic is squared. In order to solve for x, we want a square root. All right, the third one is called complete the square. Now, with completing the square, it's going to have beyond just solving quadratics. The method of completing the square shows up in mathematics as you go through. And in fact, we will see it again just in this, in chapter 2, I believe, is where we'll get the opportunity to see that again with circles. Last but certainly not least, good old quadratic formula. Several of you know a little sing-song thing to help you remember that. Quadratic formula is definitely an awesome way to go. The two most popular ways to solve a quadratic are the first and the last one, the zero factor and the quadratic formula. And we'll get into that in a little bit more here in just a minute. Enjoy!